Yo dudes, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got my competition gun out here and we're going to show you how to use the Reg Butter to do some basic maintenance on your regulator. This is a very simple topic. This is regarding the AMP2 regulator, so pretty much any FX gun this is applicable to. But this is my competition gun. This thing, since I've got it, I've had it for a little over a year, I think. And I've probably shot, I don't know, 20 matches with it and probably podiumed 95% of the time. So this thing is extremely accurate. It is extremely consistent, but I can make it a little bit more consistent in the winter with the Reg Butter, which is going to be extremely awesome for low temperature recovery rates in your reg. I just at room temperature tested this thing out. I'll show you the video from that. I got about a 4-second recovery rate. And I think we're going to chop that down with the Reg Butter. All right, boys. We are sitting at 161 on the reg. It's about time to open this up and re-Reg Butter it because I've shot maybe, I don't know, 8 matches without touching it. All right. So you can see it's taking quite a while to reset. And once your lube starts getting dissipated, that's what happens. So let's do that again. It's at like 160. 1, 2, 3, 4. So about 4 seconds. I bet you we can get that down with a good Reg buttering. First thing you're going to want to do with any FX gun, but in this case the dynamic especially, is remove your rear tank. If you have an impact, it's going to be a front tank, whatever. Remove your tank. And you're also going to need 4 things here. So you're going to need a set of Allen keys. You're going to need your Reg Butter, a Bic pen, and you're going to see why in a minute, and just a paper towel. So the first thing I want to do now that I've got my gun degassed is firstly double check that there is no gas in the gun, 0 bar, so we've got no gas there. And I just want to actually wipe off my threads to my bottle. I guarantee they'll be dirty, and they are, and we're going to just Reg Butter those threads up when we reassemble, and that will ensure that the tank goes on smoothly. So I always just knock that out right away first thing. After cleaning off your threads, we're going to need to remove that regulator. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my, I think it's a 3mm Allen key, and the regulator on the dynamic is located right there inside the trigger guard. I'm going to carefully remove my adjuster first. Very easy to remove. Once you feel that it has cleared the threads, you can just pinch it with your fingernails and remove it. All right, I think it's cleared the threads. Okay, actually it came right out. Oop, there it is with my Allen key. So we're gonna put that aside. Then we're gonna take a 5mm Allen key and we're gonna jam it in there, make sure it's flush because we don't want to be stripping. And this part is a little bit more labor intensive because I don't want to use the ball end. I want to make sure I have a firm grip on that. And we're just going to simply unscrew that. And in this case, our regulator and Belleville stack came out with it. And actually it's decently lubed up still, but we're going to lube this all back up. So where the Bic pen comes in handy is oftentimes you'll remove this from your rifle, and you'll remove rather the housing from your rifle, and the piston will still be in the channel. And so with a Bic pen, with the ink cartridge removed, you'll be able to just put that right on this piece and use it as a puller and yank it out, and that works perfectly. And if you get one of these grip Bic pens, it actually comes down to a smaller piece, and oftentimes I can use that right in the trigger guard and not have to take off the actual bottom of the trigger guard. So just a little tip for you there, but we're going to basically clean this thing up and we're going to go ahead and re-lube it with the Reg Butter. So I'm going to carefully take off my Belleville stack. I'm going to set that in the correct orientation face down so I know to put it back towards the piston. And we're just going to get off any previous lubrication here. I did previously polish the piston shaft and I'm feeling it with my fingernail. It feels pretty well still polished, no problem there. So we're just going to get off that old lube and set that aside for now. We will then also get off some of the lube that is on the housing. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. And we'll also just quickly get off the lube on the adjuster. Now I am assuming all of these O-rings are still fine because my gun was not leaking or anything, but while you have that apart, you might want to check. So here's how we're going to use the Reg Butter. Sometimes if your Reg Butter's been sitting a long time, you might have to give it a little stir with an Allen key, but this is formulated to have a perfect blend to work in all temperatures, especially low temperatures is where it really shines. So in this case, I'm just gonna twist my piston in a little bit of that butter, and I'm gonna work it in to the actual little groove in that O-ring between the brass and the O-ring. Make sure it's really worked in. I'm gonna leave a little remnants on top there because that's gonna be pushed into the piston hole itself. And another thing you could do if you wanted is stick a Q-tip in that channel and just clean everything out. But I'm pretty sure mine's more or less clean because I do this quite often. Okay, so now we have our Reg piston lubed up, and I'm just gonna actually set that aside for a second here. What I should have probably done first is lube this up. Again, assuming that the O-ring is good, I'm gonna get a little bit of that Reg Butter. I don't know if you can see a little bit just in there because there is a internal diameter, inside diameter O-ring in there. And now that I've got that coated, when I push the piston in there, it'll be perfect. So I'm gonna take my stack of Belleville washers, put those back over here. I'm gonna take a little bit more Reg Butter and put it right on the contact points there. We're gonna slide that in. And since I just wiped off some of it by handling it, I'm just gonna gloop some more Reg Butter right onto that piston and a little bit on top to get in the channel. There really isn't, I mean, with all things, there's always such thing as too much, really. But with Reg Butter, you can kind of gloop it on and it's going to be fine. So that's ready to just screw in and install back in the gun. Once that's in, I'm just going to lube these two little O-rings on the adjuster, and I'll screw that back in pretty much all the way, very gently until I feel it bottom out. And then I'll gas the gun up and back this off until I get back to 160 bar there. So I will get this reassembled off camera, and then let's see if we improved our recharge rate. But before I do, we're gonna go ahead and lube up those threads and the O-ring contact part on the bottle adapter there, as well as the Dowdy washer, which is the O-ring washer that sits flush against it. So with that all lubed up, I can go ahead and gas this thing back up as soon as I put my Reg piston in. And that's it, we're done. All right, boys, got her back together, and let's see the recharge rate. 1, 2. So we cut our recharge rate in half, and that is pretty fantastic. So not only are we cutting the recharge rate in half, we're also giving superior cold weather performance. So let's just try that one more time. 1, 2. Probably a little under 2 seconds. Fantastic. And that's going to do it, boys. So my competition rifle is certainly ready for this weekend, and it is going to be about 22 degrees. So we'll see how we do. Thanks for watching. You guys can tune into my Instagram where I post my competition results, good or bad. So you will see if I lose in last place or win in first place. And with that Regulator performance, I think I'm going to podium. So check it out. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.